This might be the creamiest dessert you'll ever make. A silky smooth French flan.
We'll start with the dough, specifically with the flour. I have used a whole grain flour, just a part of a whole grain flour, because it gives much more flavor and much deeper aroma to the whole dough. For flan, it's typical to use pâte brisée, which is actually more of a savory dough based more on water, and it uses a whole egg. So first we'll combine the flour with the butter. You can do this in a mixer, or you can also do it by hand. In a mixer, we mix it on a low speed until we get exactly this kind of consistency. It's already coming together, but the butter is still not fully broken down. Now it's time to add the egg and the water. The exact recipe and all the quantities are written in the description of this video. We'll let it mix just a few more turns, only until everything comes together nicely. This is what the dough looks like when it's ready for the final step by hand. We take it out onto the table, and we don't want to create too much gluten structure, because that would make the dough tough instead of tender. So we don't overwork it, and we just use the palm of our hand to smear the remaining butter into the dough until everything is fully combined and we get a nice, smooth, homogeneous dough. Once that's done, we simply wrap it in a plastic and let it rest in the fridge idly overnight so everything relaxes and the dough becomes easier to work with. The next day, we take the dough out, lightly flour it, and start rolling it out. We roll it to about 3 mm thickness, maybe 3 to 5 at most, but definitely not more. Then I transfer it onto a baking paper, onto a larger tray, and let it rest again in the fridge, now for at least 1 or 2 hours. So straight back into the fridge. After 2 hours, we take it out of the fridge. Now we cut the base of our tart. I'm using a ring that is 18 centimeters in diameter and about 5 centimeters high, and that matches the amount of the cream we'll be using. Once the base is cut, we cut a long strip of dough, and from that we create the sides of the tart. As you can see, I press it nicely into the edges of the ring, and I intentionally leave it slightly higher. If needed, I can still adjust the thickness with my fingers. Then I transfer it onto a tray and trim the top so it's clean and even. After resting again in the fridge about 1 to 2 hours, the final shell looks like this. It's a good idea to duck it with a knife or a fork so it bakes better and the cream cooks more evenly as well. And now we move on to the cream, vanilla. Vanilla is the base of every flan. For half a liter of milk, I use 2 vanilla pods, so the flavor is really intense. We bring the milk to a boil with the pods and then let it infuse for about 10 to 15 minutes. On the side, we mix sugar with starch and a pinch of salt, and then we add the egg yolks and 1 whole egg and whisk everything together into a smooth mixture. Then we bring the milk back to boil and pour it over the eggs. You already know this step. It's to avoid scrambling the eggs and to get a smooth cream instead. So we're balancing the temperatures. The eggs are cold, the milk is hot, so we slowly pour in almost all of the milk, always leaving just a little bit at the bottom. Then we return everything back into the pot and cook it, gradually bringing it to boil until we get a smooth, thick cream. Exactly like this. Now we blend it so it becomes completely smooth and glossy. This is fantastic. Take a look. And then strain it once more, just in case there are any bits from the eggs or the vanilla pot, so we get a perfectly clean cream. We don't let the cream cool, we pour it warm directly into the shell and bake it. The baking details are in the video description. We take the flan out when it still has a slight wobble. Take a look. Still slightly wobbling. I let it rest overnight in the fridge, and the next day I glaze it so it has a beautiful shine. And now here you can see the cut, a beautiful creamy vanilla flan. Enjoy this recipe, enjoy the video, have a good day, ciao.